The first episode for House of the Dragon has finally landed, and it offers up a lot of threads to carry through with for the rest of the season. With the stage being set for some big characters and important moments in the future, this prequel to the much-loved Game of Thrones series is laying down some nice winks to the audience, while giving us ideas for what is going to happen further down the line. So let's take a look at some of the biggest aspects to take from the premiere. We'll start with the Easter eggs. Easter egg number 9, the Valyrian steel dagger. You may not have noticed, but the series kept quite a tight grip on the hilt of a blade while revealing Aegon's prophecy to his daughter. This blade is actually the same blade that we see throughout Game of Thrones, with it finally being in Arya Stark's possession when she used it to kill the Night King. Our king appears to be subconsciously gripping this dagger as he knows it will be of use in the future when the Song of Fire and Ice plays out. Easter egg number 8, winter is coming. After testing her wisdom, Viserys names his daughter as his heir, apologizing for wasting their years together when she was always a rightful ruler. Viserys also makes a point of informing the future queen of a secret, the dreams of Aegon the Conqueror. He says that Aegon called these dreams the Song of Ice and Fire,
Aegon called his dream the Song of Ice and Fire,
in which he foresees a great winter of darkness coming to Westeros, in which a Targaryen must be on the throne to unite the Seven Kingdoms to fight against it.
a Targaryen must be seated on the Iron Throne, strong enough to unite the realm against the cold and the dark.
This is of course making reference to the events of Game of Thrones and the prophecy that winter is coming. Easter egg number 7, Rhaenyra's similarities. When we met Princess Rhaenyra in the beginning of the episode, we noticed 2 things. 1, even for a young age, she's an experienced dragon rider. 2, she seems to be wearing garbs that are reminiscent of a popular GOT character, none other than Daenerys Targaryen. It is clear that Rhaenyra is quite energetic and leader-worthy already too. This all points to her being very much like her descendant. Her role as a leader in the original series and the mark she left, we're already being informed of the role this young Targaryen will take in the future of the series from her actions and her attire. Easter egg number 6, Dracarys. During the funeral of Queen Aemma and her son Balon, we notice how Rhaenyra commands a dragon to set the funeral pyres ablaze. She uses the word Dracarys to instruct him.
Dracarys.
This mirrors how Daenerys used to command her dragons, and also what she used as she went into battle. Again, another hint at the character similarities with her future descendant. Easter egg number 5, 172 years before Daenerys Targaryen. The episode opens 172 years before the birth of a certain historic figure in the Game of Thrones mythos, Daenerys Targaryen. We're pretty sure you've heard of her. Easter egg number 4, the Valyrian steel swords. Throughout the episode, if you look closely, you'll notice 2 very familiar weapons. These being Blackfire and Dark Sister, used by Daemon and Viserys. Blackfire more prominently is the same sword used by Aegon the Conqueror when he invaded Westeros and established his ruling of the Seven Kingdoms. Easter egg number 3, familiar houses. Did you hear some of those surnames? If you're a true Game of Thrones fans, they shouldn't have fallen on deaf ears. We hear people naming themselves as Baratheons and Starks throughout the episode. Even a Tarly gets a mention. Of course, these 2 houses are big players when it comes to the story of the series this one has been spun off of. Easter egg number 2, promise me, Rhaenyra. Promise me.
Promise me this, Rhaenyra. Promise me.
These words may simply come off as a father imploring his daughter to carry on a legacy, but maybe there is a sadder reference to it. Viserys is saying this to Rhaenyra echoes the final words between Ned Stark and his sister Lyanna, as she lay dying giving birth to future lead character Jon Snow. She is heard saying, "Promise me, Ned. Promise me."
Promise me, Ned. Promise me.
In the scene set at the Tower of Joy when asking her brother to raise her son as his own. Easter egg number 1, set in an earlier age. When we first watch King Viserys and his council, we watch as he speaks of being sure that his queen Aemma is pregnant with a boy and that it will grant him a suitable heir, basically snubbing his daughter Rhaenyra of being in line for the throne. Though Game of Thrones may not seem very progressive in its representation and political correctness sometimes, it is clear that for this show being set 200 years earlier, times are much less progressive. This is also shown by Princess Rhaenys being snubbed for the throne by her grandfather. It is being highlighted for viewers just how much the society of Westeros and the Seven Kingdoms has room to grow. It's very much like watching the social aspect of a show set in the 1930s compared to modern times. Now, let's move on to some theories from the episode, with some rooting from our Easter eggs actually. Theory number 7, a changing relationship for Daemon and Rhaenyra. Throughout the episode, all eyes are on Daemon and Rhaenyra's connection. Both are technically in line for the throne, and it seems like Daemon has a lot of affection for his niece, even granting her a gift and offering her comfort at her mother and brother's funeral ceremony. However, could this be because of the fact that he doesn't see her as a threat? Women are never to be an option for ruling at this point. However, that all changes by the episode's end. Could we expect a rougher relationship between the two moving forward? Even more interesting, knowing how close the Targaryen bloodline can get, could they do a complete U-turn on this and bear a child together? Theory number 6, the loss of 5 heirs is not accidental. When Viserys and Aemma speak as she bathes, Aemma speaks to how she has miscarried 5 children in the past decade and how she could not go through it again. You will know from the first scene that Aemma is pregnant with Rhaenyra before Viserys is named heir and future king. It is quite a coincidence that no child's sense has made it to be born. Could it be that someone has somehow been poisoning the queen all this time? If so, who are the likely candidates? Daemon is in the frame, of course, with how eager he is to officially place himself on the Iron Throne, or even Rhaenys, the queen who never was. That needs to hurt a bit, carrying a title that reminds you of not being selected to rule. It could even be Otto Hightower, Hand of the King. There is no reason to believe he would be responsible, but that makes for an interesting theory. Theory number 5, the king's injury is also not accidental. During the episode, we notice Viserys being examined for a pus-filled ailment, with the Grand Maester and Otto Hightower watching on. The king ultimately diminishes it as any concern, whilst Otto tells the Grand Maester that no one can be made aware of this.
Whatever it is, it needs to be kept quiet.
Could this ailment be cause for concern further down the line? Also, though Otto's wishes for it to be kept secret may be genuine and to save the king's image and strength, could it be because he has somehow caused it? Remember, in this world, no one can truly be trusted. Daemon may not be the most likable of characters, but he could be right when he tells his brother that his own council could be waiting for him to drop dead so they can take on their own leadership somehow. Theory number 4, the journey of the dagger. As already mentioned, the Valyrian dagger seems to make its way from Viserys' reign to the time of Robert Baratheon's almost 2 centuries later. Could it be that we're going to see how this dagger travels through the years and ends up with the characters of the original series? Of course, we're following the Iron Throne, the bigger spectacle, but it would be interesting to have us follow where this dagger ends up from time to time. Theory number 3, the birth of madness. We've touched on Rhaenyra's similarities with her descendant Daenerys, but could this be hinting at something more? Daenerys ended up following in her father's footsteps by losing her mind in her quest for the throne, so what if Rhaenyra follows a similar pattern to future family members? It may be possible that this is leading to a Mad with Power arc. Could Rhaenyra really spread madness down through her lineage? Theory number 2, the fall of Viserys. Viserys does say that very similar line that Lyanna also spoke, and we know what happened to her. Does this foreshadow a dark route for Viserys? Could death be coming for him sooner than we think? It's a very broad idea, but we know the throne isn't always going to be his, especially so early on in the show. Viserys' days could be coming to an end already. Theory number 1, uprising of different houses. The Baratheons, the Starks, the Tarleys, all names that come to be very well known in Westeros. With these names already being dropped, it could be just a nice few nods to the houses from Game of Thrones. Or it could be planting the seed of something. Could these families build more into the story as the series carries on as Rhaenyra helps her father build a stronger kingdom? Well, with 9 more episodes left for the season, there's clearly a lot more to pick up on and run with. With nods to Game of Thrones and theories already set to see if they unravel, there's a lot to look forward to. Who will we find truly can't be trusted? What will become of the king and his wounds? How will Rhaenyra find her role as heir? Let us know your thoughts on the first episode of House of the Dragon below.